From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Inside Politics.
Hello, everyone. I'm News Channel 5's political analyst, Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. Even though the November 8th presidential election is still about 45 days away, some believe the key turning point of the entire race could occur next Monday. That's when Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Hillary Clinton appear together for the first time on the same stage for the first of their three scheduled national presidential debates. To talk about the significance of this first face-to-face meeting, our Democratic strategist Larry Woods and Republican analyst Bill Phillips. Gentlemen, thank you both again for coming on Inside Politics. Let me start out with both of you now. Do you think this is going to be at least the key moment so far in this general election campaign, Bill?
I do, because expectations are so high of is it going to be a cage match where they just go fist to fist, or who's going to be nice and polite.
Now, Larry, this is only the first of three debates, but is it important to make that first impression? Is that why the first debate is so critical?
Absolutely, and viewership of the debates will fall off after the first debate. It's really the first 20 minutes of the first debate that the persuadables, the undecided, they're going to lose interest after a while. So this really is a critical moment in the campaign for both candidates.
Well, I would throw out that the first 20 minutes traditionally.
Yes.
But we don't know yet if this is going to be traditional, and that's what I mean by the expectations is people are really looking to see, will Trump be nice Trump or will he be diplomatic Don?
Well, there are predictions that the audience for this could rival Super Bowl size, 100 million people. Now, what does that mean?
I've seen estimates as high as 105 or 110 million be watching, and I think that's right for the very reason Bill Phillips just said. Everybody on both sides is interested or anxious to see which Donald Trump will show up for the debate and how Hillary Clinton will respond and deal with that.
Well, the only clue we have, Trump was on Bill O'Reilly's show earlier this week, and he said about debating Hillary Clinton, I'll treat her with respect if she treats me with respect. Now, translate what you think that means.
Well, that's
how quickly are both of them going to have a chip on their shoulder, I guess.
Well, he's going in with a chip because he's trying to convince us all that everything is rigged about everything political in America right now, including the debates. And so he's threatening her. That's what he's doing, is trying to bully a little bit.
Is he already working the refs? He's already had some things to say about Lester Holt of NBC, who's the moderator. First he said the whole system is rigged, and then he said, well, he's a Democrat. Turns out Lester Holt has actually been a long-time registered Republican. Is he not getting good, is he not paying attention to the opposition research that normally his staff would be doing for something like this?
Well, Mr. Trump doesn't have that much staff as compared to a usual national campaign, and clearly his campaign modus operandi is, I'm not going to worry about the research and the background and that kind of thing. I'm going to say whatever occurs to me that moment, and he's got a lot of support behind him that likes that. So he's going to stick to it.
From a Clinton point of view, she tends to certainly have a lot of things she can bring to the table in terms of knowledge and experience, but sometimes that tends to make answers longer and wordy and kind of maybe boring. Larry, are you a little concerned that she's going to tell us the history of the clock? If somebody asks her what time it is, does she need to figure out a way to talk like Trump in sound bites?
Ms. Clinton's modus operandi is to tell us the history of the clock. And the reason for that is what you pointed out. She's well-versed, she knows her subject, etc. I'd give anything if I could be there in the room with her right now for the debate prep, and I'd say, you want to win this election? You answer every question. The first word of your mouth, out of your mouth, has to be either yes or no. Then tell us the history of the clock if you need to, but yes or no first.
She's also preparing Bill with multiple people playing Trump in the debate preps and the practices. Is that going to be a good thing? Is that going to help her be able to adjust? And how good is doing those debates anyway? Those practices do, because can you really duplicate what he's done?
There's a real thin line on overdoing it, and Ronald Reagan's a good example. He was a career TV, movie personality, but they over-prepared the actor, and he blew his lines at one time, but he came back. She could easily over-prepare, and then the wrong Donald be standing next to her.
Plus, as Bill said earlier, this is all about expectations. I think the parallels the 2000 campaign debate between Al Gore and George Bush, where going into the debate, all the media, everybody said Al Gore's super prepared. He gives these long, wonkish type answers, and Bush doesn't know the policy nearly as well as Mr. Gore. And that first debate was clearly won for the public and the voters by Mr. Bush. Now Gore's sighing, that kind of thing, obviously didn't help, but even so, the showmanship usually gets more votes than the well-prepared policy answer in a debate like this.
It's always interesting that those who watch it on TV have an opinion of who won, and those who listen to it on radio often have the opposite opinion.
That happened with Kennedy and Nixon.
Right.
People thought Nixon won the debate who listened on radio, but clearly those who watched TV, and the history must have been written off of TV, because the history was that John Kennedy actually won that because Nixon was not made up well, he was sweating and everything else. Is this perhaps the most important presidential debate ever? I mean, certainly the first one always is the one that goes down most in history, but this one seems to be, given the fact that these candidates come in so closely matched right now, at least in most of the polls.
We've survived some bad situations in politics. We'll survive this no matter how it comes out. Obviously, I'm not going to like if Mr. Trump wins, but I don't think the world is going to change. I do think what's wrong with Mr. Trump's politics is he likes Russia and Putin too much. This is a country we've been at war with for years. A Cold War, an economic war, and now a digital computer internet war with all this hacking going on, clearly sponsored by the Russian government. The bad things I see coming are Trump's going to cave to Putin. And what that's going to mean for our daily lives, I hope not much, but I'm scared that it would.
Bill, I think the key thing in any of these races, presidential debates, when there's no incumbent, is who can look the most presidential, who can look ready to do the job. So how do you assess that as you watch these two candidates on Monday night?
Well, I think it's going to be a challenge for both candidates to look presidential because of all the negative feelings that the American public has for each of them. And so it's going to be a real challenge. I think Mrs. Clinton has a better chance of looking presidential just because she's been around it all her adult life. And Donald Trump is coming in as the new guy, and he views it as, well, I'm going to build a new building.
Larry Woods and Bill Phillips are our guests. We're talking presidential politics, particularly focusing on the upcoming first debate for the two presidential candidates. Which will be coming up on Monday night. Back more of our two panelists after this break.